if you do abstract work, they'll say, well, you're nothing but an imitation of all these other guys doing abstract work. You know, I've been told that to my face. Somebody was saying, well, you know, the stuff that you're doing looks like any European artist in New York or any other white American artist. I mean, what are you doing that's so different? And the question that I would ask them in return is, you know, is there any difference between the notes that Stravinsky and Thelonious Monk used to notate sound? Same notes. I'd be damned if the music sounded anything alike.
Many Xavier students walk past the sculpture every day, not really knowing its meaning or the person behind it. Some light research will show it's by John T. Scott, an abstract artist born and raised in New Orleans, attended the university, and also was a professor here for more than 40 years. Sadly, he passed away in 2007. I was able to talk to a few people who actually knew the artist to get a better idea of who he was and some of his philosophies. My name is Dylan Brown, and this is a look into John T. Scott.
He was a student here at Xavier and was taught by Lorena Neely, Sister Lorena Neely, and also several other of his colleagues that were really important to him, and he was able to give that information that he gained through his matriculation process here and pass it on in his teaching as well as his art making. That particular piece of sculpture was called Ancestral Legacy, was designed to draw the attention of just what we're talking about now, about passing it on, about understanding that our ancestors gave us a legacy to live up to. Those basic elements that the structure sits on, and then the basic structure itself, and then those moving parts that have the mathematical symbols on them. His idea is that our ancestors, you know, gave us these particular kinds of concepts, and that the development through the motion is what he wants us to basically understand as the mechanism for understanding and for knowledge.
I think that when you went into Scott's classes, it was always, or if you went to the studio, it was always a major learning experience. You always went through it, the anticipation of learning something. You would go up in there with different ideas, and he would give you 20 or 30 more ideas that you hadn't even considered. And one of the things that I remember about him the most is that whenever you would go to workshops and different things, he would always come in and greet you, and he would like, where are the notes? He was always a voracious learner, and he was a life learner.
You told me to go see a piece called Ocean Song. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Ocean Song is basically, from what I know of it, is a piece that deals with the whole idea of the Middle Passage and traveling. And the thing is that where it is located in Waldenburg Park, I believe is a major part of the Port of New Orleans, where you saw different cargo coming in terms of cotton, but you also saw chattel, humans coming in as slaves. So that became a major port in terms of different things. And when we look at that piece, it actually represents ships. The lower bases of it look like the bows of ships, and I believe that it also plays a song, which is why it's called Ocean Song.
He set a lot of different examples for me in my life and in my work. I'm a father now. I have a almost 2-year-old baby girl at this point. My dad had 4 girls before he had me. So I do believe I had a really good role model in trying to set a good example for my kids. He shared with everybody that he met in a lot of different ways. His philosophy was pass it on. His idea of paying it forward. If you were grateful for something that someone gave you, you had to share something with somebody else to keep the universe in balance. It's kind of like how he looked at it. He referenced how he approached music, how he approached art in the same way that improvisational jazz musicians approach their music. Every band member had to be able to have an understanding of where they were in the song, as well as where everybody else is in their places, and any changes with anybody, they all kind of associate with each other. And my dad's approach to art, visual art in an abstract form, was in trying to understand all the elements around, whether it be in the subject matter or the medium, etc. And he was kind of a master of all mediums, so he really kind of talked across languages.
I think there is a kind of vocabulary within the human spirit that crosses cultures and boundaries and all of those things. And you can see it without people ever having dealt with each other. You can see certain things. I think there's certain things that make the human spirit feel good, comfortable. If you listen to musicals and music and rhythms, you find certain similarities that we celebrate. You know, if you think about our sadness, if you go into a Southern Baptist church in a funeral celebration, a black one, and you hear that choir and that note comes from the back of that choir, that C above high C that has no verbalization, it's just a sound, and the hair stands up on your neck. That's the epitome of abstraction. But you can hear that by those women in Iraq when they're lamenting the dead, by African women when they're yelling, by Chinese women when it's a primal human thing that's totally abstract, but we all understand its meaning.